Good morning and welcome to the first day of sessions here at Erwin Insights 2020. I'm Marianne McDonough and we're really happy to have you with us today. The first session in the Evolve track, EV01, the future of enterprise architecture is closer than you think. And it's my great pleasure to introduce to you Martin Owen, who is our SVP and the General Manager of the Evolve Business Unit. Good morning, Martin.
Morning, Marianne. How are you?
Great, thanks. And I'm going to turn it over to you to take folks into the future. So go ahead, Martin.
Thank you, Marianne. So welcome, everybody. So as Marianne said, my name is Martin Owen, and I manage the business unit for Evolve and the strategy for enterprise architecture here at Erwin. So this presentation will show you why the future of EA is closer than you think. We will look at the importance of EA in today's world. There are many business challenges today, and the use of EA is changing as its importance becomes more widely understood. So there are many challenges facing today's businesses, and most of these are tackled at the executive or business leader level. Leaders need to understand how to grow, bring new products to market through organic growth and/or acquisition. Identifying new trends and opportunities in emerging markets and whether they provide ROI, return on investment, is an important weapon in an organization's armory. Organizations that can identify opportunities and respond to them have a distinct edge over their competitors. So organizations are already implementing customer-first strategies, mapping out end-to-end value chains for customers and understanding how to better retain and acquire customers. With the advent of COVID, organizations need to make better plans and understand global response plans. Global operations have definitely been in the spotlight this year. Companies need to do more around privacy and security. Data breaches are doubling year on year, and organizations are more reliant on third-party software and need to ensure that their entire ecosystem is protected, including suppliers and partners. It's no longer enough just to install antivirus software on machines. Individuals in the organization need to be aware of personal habits that could affect company security. Compliance and legislation factors into every leader's thinking. Many organizations are required by law to have data protection officers and to understand what's happened to data in their organization, especially personal and sensitive data. Other legislation such as tax and carbon emission reduction is also driving uncertainty and priorities in their agendas. We are all under cost reduction and management pressures. Organizations are now far more efficient in their understanding of expense versus revenue and where to invest their dollars. Saving costs needs to be done without impairing the ability of the business to grow. Many older companies have to balance being innovative and adopting new technologies versus maintaining and leveraging value of existing technology. The pace of change for technology is faster than ever before, and leaders want to keep track of the pace of change and understand technology trends and their benefits and value. We all know that data is everywhere in an organization. Do you know where your data is? Which data do you need to focus on to get the right answers and to get insight into the business for improvements? Without a good understanding of data, leaders can get bogged down in data overload and not be able to see the woods for the trees. Last but not least, the human capital and talent in the organization is often overlooked. Leaders need to retain and empower employees in the company whilst building the business. Understanding the employee makeup, the skills and talent, and where best to deploy and nurture them are key to success. Let's also discuss the obvious challenge at the front of our minds, COVID-19. So COVID is not just accelerating digital progress, it's also driving a radical change in thinking as organizations reset for the new normal. One of the most significant COVID learnings is the readiness of organizations and their employees to challenge rules, break conventions, and cut through red tape in order to keep businesses running. As we move into business recovery mode, organizations are exploring the processes, their systems and technologies that will help their operations assume the new normal and also guide employees in returning to the workplace. Most organizations are undertaking an assessment of needs to have a secure COVID work environment. This work can be an enabler to do a prioritized reassessment of enterprise processes and enterprise operations. Software to help the safe return to the workplace can also provide the impetus for Internet of Things adoption and be the making of touchless technology and stimulate a whole new set of partnerships. We can see here the impact of COVID on our daily lives. For example, through digital adoption in education, where we're going through digital classes and lectures. We look at the entertainment industry, where we have rapid growth in digital entertainment, such as Netflix. The shift from shopping in stores to ordering with delivery for grocery. The rise in telehealth as in-person medical appointments decline for healthcare. Eating in, so the growth in services like Just Eat and DoorDash, and also eating out. So booking services such as OpenTable and the provision of electronic menus. Today, we will be looking at the role of the enterprise architect in leading organizations, as seen through the feedback and the market analysis of organizations such as Forrester and Gartner, and of course, our own customers. According to Gartner, today's enterprise architects play a transformational role in their organization. They lead and define business operating models and often have a seat at the table to advise executives and other important decision makers. In this sense, they are trusted advisors and act in a consultative capacity to the rest of the organization. A good enterprise architect understands and tracks technology trends and appreciates how to apply these to the business to enable good business outcomes. Many organizations see business architecture as a starting point for EA, incorporating business processes and organizational design with the ability to connect to IT programs and goals. Traditional EA is not forgotten, and EAs continue to support IT governance, assurance, architecture standards, and architecture review boards. However, there's more focus on agility than command and control, as has been traditionally the case with EA. The importance of the role of the enterprise architect is becoming recognized widely in successful businesses. As with most professions, enterprise architect salaries tend to increase with years of experience and are healthy. It's also noticeable that enterprise architects who add enterprise architecture certifications to their resumes also report higher earnings. In Glassdoor's 25 Best Jobs in the UK for 2020 report, the job title Enterprise Architect came out on top. It is the first technology role to be named the best job in the UK, beating marketing, finance, and ops roles that have traditionally taken the top spot, according to Amanda Stansell, Senior Economic Research Analyst at Glassdoor. The report looked beyond just salary as a factor, encompassing job openings and job satisfaction as well. For EAs in particular, and those with formal certifications in EA, they achieve a higher earning potential, although this may change in the future as we drive more into an outcome-driven approach to EA. Interestingly, the DevOps engineer is also one of 11 new roles to make the list, and data scientist is in the top 10 too. Considering the trends of digital transformation and agile business, data scientist, DevOps engineer, and enterprise architect's inclusion among the top jobs is likely linked. Organizations have increasing expectations of enterprise architects to focus on business and operating models that achieve business outcomes. They place greater emphasis on the broader business ecosystem for opportunity and innovation. This includes understanding the business model, the current and future state models, and the application of new and emerging technologies. An enterprise architect is now required to understand and prove value through many different aspects of the business, including profit and loss, share value, risk, sales, customers, and products, to name a few. So digital transformation presents many challenges. One of the key tasks is not to focus on technology for technology's sake. To realize successful transformation, an enterprise should start by developing a target operating model. As we can see through the TM Forum approach, which is an organization that provides standards for the telecoms industry, they lay out the domains for a target operating model. These include key performance indicators, including goals, performance, and benefits realization. Technology, addressing business and operations systems, the assets, the resources, and the locations at which they do business. Process, including the product lifecycle, the development, the quality, the management, and assurance processes. People management, addressing leadership, ways of working, skills and competencies, and capabilities. For the organization, such as management controls, structure, governance, and roles and responsibilities. And for partners and alliances, capturing performance, management tenants, and scorecards. Technology innovation, new products, customer acquisition and retention, services and corresponding sources of revenue are core to businesses undergoing digital disruption. Enterprise architects help organizations define their desired future states while shaping roadmaps to get them there. The key drivers of modern EA are the continued demand for digital transformation. This is accomplished through the establishment of new business models and the underlying supporting operating models. The design and implementation of digital platforms. The platform is a simple, flexible, and effective connection to business ecosystems. It drives technology-enabled and data-driven business models. And the last driver is the increasing role of information as an asset. Data-driven business models and information-fueled business ecosystems, providing the basis for new, innovative products and services. So the Gartner hype cycle for EA is used to show where particular technologies are at any moment in time. They allow you to make informed decisions about new versus mature technologies, and depending on your risk appetite, those you may look to invest in. The hype cycle gives us a good insight into those technologies delivering tangible value. So how does this hype cycle work? The hype cycle is made up of 5 key phases. Innovation triggers contain potential technology breakthroughs. Often there are very few products supporting these technologies and have yet to prove commercial success. The peak of inflated expectations are early success stories accompanied by scores of failures. The trough of disillusionment contains technologies that have waned. This is where the shakeout occurs. Investment in these technologies only continues when providers improve their products in line with additional customer requirements. The slope of enlightenment is where many instances of the technology and its benefits become more widely understood, and second and third generation products appear from technology providers. Many organizations fund pilots in these areas, but conservative organizations are very cautious. And the plateau of productivity means mainstream adoption is taking off. Vendors can clearly articulate their offerings and broad market acceptance is achieved. We can see here with the coloured circles which technologies are expected to reach the plateau of productivity in which time frame. We can see some are moving more quickly than others. With the rise in expectations for EAs to focus on business and operating models that achieve business outcomes, great focus is placed on the broader business ecosystem for opportunity and innovation. This reality is reflected in rising expectations up the innovation trigger portion of the hype cycle, including technologies for continuous next, digital ops, ecosystem modeling, and continuous planning. Today, use cases such as business and information architecture, EA governance, and solutions architecture, all of which have deep roots in EA, are approaching the trough of disillusionment before achieving significant impact in the longer term. These technologies, including agile architecture, business capability modeling, machine learning, design thinking, information architecture, business architecture, and EA governance, are all ripe for investment and modernization by tool vendors. Solutions architecture, roadmaps, and EA frameworks are all reaching the plateau within the next 2 years, and EA tools within the next 2 to 5 years. And organizations are already gaining benefit from these. Another view on the technologies is placing them into a priority matrix. Each technology has a benefit: transformational, high, moderate, and low across the y-axis, and the x-axis showing years to mainstream adoption. The priority matrix shows that many transformational and high benefit technologies are clustered in the 2 to 10 year timeframes before being adopted by the mainstream. The quick speed to mainstream adoption underscores the effect of digital business adoption on EA teams today. Only 4 technologies will reach maturity in 2 years: digital optimization, architecture roadmaps, EA frameworks, and solutions architecture. And these also have high and moderate direct business benefits. This reflects the changing role of EA in support of business and IT requirements. One technology to highlight is digital optimization, which is in the slope of enlightenment. Digital optimization is the process of using digital technology to improve existing operating processes and business models. Until COVID, this strategy was employed by those not experiencing near-term disruptions. Now, with the heightened awareness of the importance of enterprise architects in disruptive situations, this transformational approach is being taken advantage of immediately. Those companies using this approach with leadership teams will benefit from the rapid deployment of digital technology to improve existing operating processes and business models in the new normal. So, as we can see, EA is important, and there are many different use cases for EA, and organizations are gearing up for transformational and high-level benefits in a 2 to 10-year timeframe. So let's take a look at some new and emerging use cases for EA. The future of EA is an internal ecosystem focused on outcomes. EA has seen an enormous transformation over the last 2 decades. Forrester believe EA professionals are heading towards the third wave of EA. The evolution of EA from first wave through the third wave has seen changes in resource needs, EA's focus, and the lens through which EAs view the organization. So the first wave and the rise of technology architecture. This is where over 60% of Forrester customers are today. Customers recognize that the technology portfolio in their organization has significant impact on operating expenditure, or OPEX. Many technology portfolios are a barrier to agility due to their old nature and what they were designed to do. Organizations have initiated programs such as application portfolio management to address these issues. The focus of the programs is in the consolidation of the portfolio, therefore reducing costs. Sometimes EAs work solely with this lens, have a perceived lack of added value to the organization in a wider context. The second wave includes the introduction of business capabilities. So just over a third of Forrester customers work in this lens today. The focus here is on business-driven architecture. Domains and assets such as people, data, processes and technology can be harnessed and optimized, and then the organization can achieve their goals. This is more about aligning the business and IT architectures and viewing EA as a portfolio of these types of capabilities. Although parts of the portfolio deliver value, for example, end-to-end business process modeling, it's difficult to demonstrate agile and efficient delivery of business outcomes. The skills of EAs in this domain are focused on the domains themselves, but they aren't always connected. For example, data architectures are often separated from the business process architecture, and they require different skills. These functional architectures often remain stovepiped because of this. The third wave is about the focus on insights and outcomes. So the need for digital transformation led to enterprise architects thinking about EA based on insights and outcomes through architectural products. Architectural products are configurations of business capabilities to facilitate customer journeys, value chains, product and customer life cycles, thus bringing the enterprise architecture much closer to the roles of product managers, customer success managers, digital platform and marketing experts. EAs in the third wave start to focus on outcomes and value based upon a set of architectural products. These products are driving the adaptive enterprise, responding to changes in market conditions with agility. Over 2% of Forrester clients are executing the third wave. An outcome and value-based approach based on insights enable intelligence in the organization. So what did Forrester say about enterprise architecture in 2020 and beyond? The key theme is that EA's value proposition shifts from doing architecture to delivering value. So some key takeaways. Given the dynamics of technology, markets, and customer preferences today, there is a greater need for EA. The leading EA's focus on delivering value, not on creating architecture repositories and diagrams, as seen in the third wave. Leading EAs work differently and engage across the organization with good communication skills to address prioritized stakeholder needs through defined EA services. EA is provided as a service within the organization. Leading EAs shift their focus from technology solutions to addressing barriers to business agility, including trusted governance and new architecture approaches. EAs should become a trusted advisor to the organization and should get into bed with tactical and strategic opportunities and demonstrate value. One of the most common complaints that analysts hear from enterprise architects is that the business does not view them as a strategic resource. Cracking this concern is key to attaining the vision for EA. So tracking market and technology trends. You need to ensure that you're tracking the latest trends and the benefits they have for your organization. Which technology trends should you be piloting? Understanding the market for your business and where it's going. What impact does disruption have on your market? How do you best make use of the latest technologies? Having this insight will provide you with access to the business leaders. They just don't have time and often inclination to track this type of information. You need to be an influencer of corporate strategy and projects. Organizations have many initiatives, whether it's a risk and compliance program, mergers and acquisitions, digital transformation projects, or driving digitalization across the organization, and better decision making. You need to be part of these projects as an EA. The business needs to understand the value of the role in these initiatives. Without the involvement of EA, firstly, the project will have less chance of success, and secondly, the role of EA will further be sidelined in the organization. You need to be a corporate problem solver. And EA's greatest advantage is being known as the go-to corporate problem solver, moving from Forrester's first wave, managing technology portfolios, into the third wave, and thinking broadly about positive business outcomes. You move from a technical wizard to a strategic advisor. Tech savvy, yes, but not a tech geek. And finally, you're aiming to deliver outcomes. So you focus on understanding the organization's goals and aims. What's the corporate roadmap? And how does this align to solutions and capabilities that achieve these goals? Align these to the outputs of a strategic enterprise architecture and demonstrate return on investment. If the organization doesn't have a roadmap, develop one and take ownership of it to ensure that you stay focused on results and outcomes. So to achieve competitive advantage, organizations will create intelligent business and operating models underpinned by innovative technologies, data, and analytics. EA and technology innovation leaders must develop services, practices, and competencies to support their organizations. EA and tech innovation leaders will need to bring new skills and competencies into the EA practice, along with a culture of innovation. They will look to add skills that have not traditionally been associated with EA, such as product management, marketing, analytics, data science, and design skills. All skills necessary to understand and develop architecture products. They need to plan design thinking into their methodology, skills, and way of thinking. They will design their organization to be adapted to business change through design. They will use information architecture to enable adaptive and data-driven business models. EAs will collaborate with all types of data teams. They will use EA to plan, design, and orchestrate the move of innovation into the operating model, new processes, applications, partners, suppliers, etc. And then provide funds through redistribution for innovation into business strategy, projects, and metrics, and ultimately successful outcomes. So in 2011, Gartner predicted that within 10 years, the majority of global enterprises would support enterprise architecture as a distinct discipline that is integral to business planning. Now in 2020, EA has grown from a support function into a highly strategic one, responsible for designing an intelligent information architecture that supports digitalization and innovation. EA continues to evolve at a rapid pace as emerging technology lead to business disruption. According to Megan Rimmel at Gartner, by 2023, 60% of organizations will depend on an EA's role to lead the business approach to innovation. And as we saw in the technology adoption curve, EA tooling is reaching the plateau of productivity in 2 to 5 years. So for tool vendors such as ourselves, there is a need to ensure that our tooling meets the needs of today's organizations and the multitude of use cases in the next 5 years. Tools need to retain the traditional approaches to enterprise architecture as seen in the first and second waves of EA and support business and operating models. Tools also need to ensure they are providing tooling that can be built on and work off the underlying business and operating models to deliver outcomes and to demonstrate real value. Organizations need to ingest data as inputs from across disparate sources in the organization, align the content to the models with the help of artificial intelligence, and use analytics to drive decision making. A common theme will be building applications for everyday business use that unlock the value of architecture repositories. EA repositories contain a wealth of information such as strategies, processes, peoples and skills, locations, working practices, metadata, applications and technologies. The tool should look to offer technology trend tracking and design to showcase new innovation and how it can affect the organization's goals at speed. Enterprise architects will craft their own lightweight, fit-for-purpose architecture approaches, focusing on design skills rather than methodologies. This will make staffing more challenging for EA leaders, as methodology knowledge and certifications will no longer be mandatory indicators when expanding their teams. Enterprise architecture tooling will become a platform with business-driven applications directly being deployed on the repositories. Much like customer relationship management and enterprise resource planning tools have expanded to cover other business use cases based on customer and financial information. Developing an ecosystem that has EA at the heart of it, with connections to ERP, financials, risk systems, employees, etc., will be how value is driven out of EA tooling. Some example use cases driven by an EA platform are employees working from home. What roles do they have? What work do they do? And when are they available? Agile planning that includes sprints versus goals and objectives and tracking team productivity. The ingestion of financials and other business aspects to see the direct impacts of EA on the business. Predicting risks and measures to manage business level security concerns. Mapping out customer journeys and value streams directly across the enterprise with ad hoc EA frameworks, only providing just enough architecture. Connectivity will play a very important part as EA becomes the blueprint for an internal decision-making ecosystem. So let's take a look at our Erwin enterprise architecture strategy. Firstly, let's talk about today's EA offerings from Erwin. Erwin Evolve is a full-featured, configurable set of enterprise architecture and business process modeling and analysis tools. You can map IT capability to the business functions they support and determine how people, processes, data, technologies, and applications interact to ensure alignment in achieving enterprise objectives, including digital transformation, cloud migration, portfolio and infrastructure rationalization, regulatory compliance, and innovation management initiatives. Erwin Evolve's unique advantages are an integrated and web-based modeling and diagramming approach, harmonizing both enterprise architecture and business process capabilities with a robust, flexible, and web-based modeling and diagramming interface that any stakeholder can use. A high-performance, scalable, and centralized repository, so you can access content with integrated views of enterprise architecture and business process content in a central enterprise strength repository capable of supporting thousands of federated global users via on-premise or cloud deployment. A configurable platform with role-based views, so you can configure the meta model, the frameworks, and the user interface for an integrated single source of truth with different views for different stakeholders based on their roles and their information needs. Visualizations and dashboards. You can view mission-critical data in the central repository in the form of user-friendly visualizations, dashboards, and diagrams for real-time insights. Third-party integrations. Synchronize data with enterprise applications such as CAST, Cloud Health, RSA Archer for risk, ServiceNow for operational assets, Zendesk for help desk tickets, and more. And last but not least, Erwin integrations. Harvest metadata from our own data intelligence suite and data modeling tools for gap analysis in enterprise architecture. So Evolve is critical to many of our customers. As a vendor with over 25 years experience of enterprise architecture, maintaining our strategy and delivering our roadmap is important, and we have a strong track record of delivery. Firstly, the EA market is continuously changing. The applicability of EA is becoming more fundamental to all organizations as they move through change, especially in times like this. There are four main themes to our strategy, and our vision supports enabling organizations to be adaptive to whatever may be thrown at them. Firstly, we allow them to gain better and faster insights through the use of automation and artificial intelligence, providing quicker and smarter decisions through automating the harvesting of data assets and providing model automation for speedier model building. We all know how important data is to the world. Whilst data has always been a core domain of enterprise architecture, turning that data into information through the combination of data discovery, governance, lineage, and provenance is what will drive the next generation of information architectures and activate EA. Being adapted through different innovation cycles and having EA as the underpinnings to transformation and innovation is key to success. Organizations must do just enough architecture to be effective and not boil the ocean. Processes and applications often live within the business without IT involvement. We allow all stakeholders in the organization to contribute to the EA effort, and we give IT a handle on all IT assets. All business stakeholders view parts of EA as their everyday jobs and can point to metrics that show the value of EA to their roles in the organization. All 4 themes support the Gartner use cases to capture, structure, analyze, and present models, supporting transformation and optimization, assessing and managing an evolving IT portfolio, enterprise architecture management, and innovation. Edge is Erwin's wider vision and strategy. It means enterprise data governance experience. So let's talk a little bit about Edge and how our tools are interoperable. Firstly, with our leading data model, Erwin DM, we can push data models into our data catalog, making use of the intellectual property that exists already. Erwin DM is used to reverse data engineer databases automatically from a wide variety of sources. Erwin DM has over 50,000 users. The data catalog is the definitive source for all data within the organization and can be categorized, tagged, and assigned business terms. Number 2, the data models can also be used as the basis for data architecture in the enterprise. The models can be pushed into our Evolve Enterprise Architecture repository. From here, it can be linked to business capabilities, processes that consume and produce it, people that use it, locations where it's based, applications that created and modified it, and the servers that host it. Evolve gives more context to the data. Number 3, Evolve allows us to focus on digital transformation activities in their planning. We can see the technology assets to focus on for any initiative, including applications. We can document the business owners, the costings, the lifecycle dates, and the roadmaps for implementation. Evolve allows you to send the applications to the data catalog so that the catalog can auto-document the physical structures and lineage. Number 4, for any set of applications, the Erwin Data Catalog can populate Evolve with the interfaces and mappings, identifying applications and processes that should be connected as they have data lineage. This automation would take man years for data architects, application architects, and business analysts to find and document. And number 5, for business process modelers documenting processes within Evolve, the business glossary can be used to show the modelers the correct business terms that should be used to describe a process. This aids in accuracy and understanding across the organization. A lot of time is often wasted in miscommunication of the same term throughout the business. With number 6, processes can be pushed from Evolve into the data catalog to provide context for data governance initiatives inside the business glossary and data catalog. Evolve can identify processes used for compliance, GDPR, Sarbanes-Oxley, and other critical initiatives across the organization. And these processes can be tied to data directly within the catalog. New business terms identified within process modeling can also be pushed into the business glossary as candidate business terms. The business architecture is part of the enterprise architecture, and we can tie processes to applications and technology to provide an end-to-end view for more informed business decision-making with Evolve. And finally, we can publish our Edge content to a single portal where we can collaborate and review all the assets together. We can search across assets and see where they are, what they link to, and who owns them. We can provide different user groups with different access privileges to support data privacy requirements and provide a different user interface for each user depending on their UI needs. Our customers have demonstrated the need for a new generation of EA tools. We're seeing the need to tie directly to products, customers, value chains, profit and loss, to name but a few, which are areas of a business operating model. Adoption of EA is increasing in ways that weren't imagined and thought of 20 years ago. The ability to federate EA data seamlessly across the business in support of different business domains, regardless of geography or language, is important. The days of spending lots of manpower on EA programs is gone. Automating as much as possible is the new mantra for EA tools, whether that be data harvesting, automatic model building, and visualizations to automatically predict business outcomes. EA tools need to offer intelligence and cannot just be a static repository. At the same time, the tools need to support the road to digital transformation and should support agile techniques such as Kanban, roadmaps, planning, and resources. The notion of design thinking and problem solving should be inbuilt and socialized from within an EA platform. Customers require a range of deployment options, including cloud first, on-premise, and virtual images. These need to be deployed in a secure yet flexible manner, satisfying the design needs of security teams and ensuring the tool is secure itself is critical to adoption. Security and scalable deployment options are the #1 concern of IT departments deploying EA tools today. They need repeatable development, build, test, and production environments for deployments. For security, they need to understand if software was created securely and whether it's free of any corrupt or malicious files. EA vendors' engineering teams need to commit application code changes to a shared repository. The repositories need to automate the deployment of applications for customers. Customers no longer want to wait for large major releases and want to choose which releases they take. For multi-cloud platforms, the advantage of these is that organizations are able to utilize select services it prefers from a vendor or delivery platform. EA tools are required to run in Azure, AWS, Google, Rackspace, VirtualBox, VMwares, and other environments. IT departments need simplicity and faster configurations. This requires EA vendors to package up an application with all parts it needs. It's easy to test before they deploy in a production environment. So all of these requirements are from customer IT departments and not necessarily end users, though they need to be thought about up front. So let's talk about Erwin's next generation of EA tools. So we've been developing Evolve NextGen, which is the future of our EA tooling over the last few years. It uses extremely modern technology and is developed for use in the cloud as a single tenant, multi-tenant, or it's deployable behind your firewall. The developers use the latest coding frameworks and secure coding techniques. It addresses multiple use cases and you can deploy your own applications based on EA content. We are providing automated data harvesting, model building, and analysis tools with more to come. The tool provides many different frameworks and approaches, including design thinking, innovation management, process modeling, and business architecture, applications and technology, organizational support, and many more. It's designed with different types of users across different geographies to interact and collaborate even in different time zones. It also provides support for collaboration environments such as MS Teams, so you can use your own in-house collaboration platforms. It's also containerized, so it's easily deployable to any cloud platform, and it supports Kubernetes and Docker. We've also optimized it to scale up and be performant with different numbers of users and different types of data and volumes of data. So here are some highlights of the next generation tool. They include different deployment options, SaaS and on-premise, web modeling to extend the usage of EA enterprise-wide, automatic building of diagrams to save on manpower and effort, web-based heat maps for analysis, and computed attributes for tying into the business operating model. It contains an extendable toolkit to create your own applications on top of the EA repository. In September 2021, we will allow current Evolve customers to migrate seamlessly to NextGen and will provide a range of enhanced EA capabilities not seen before in web technology. So in conclusion, executives and leaders face real business challenges brought on by COVID, and organizations are now changing operational plans and processes in line with these types of interruptions. EA is recognized as critical to these challenges and helping in decision making. As we have seen, the role of EA is one of the most sought after by organizations. The skills required of an EA are now including more business skills and the ability to converse about outcomes and the business operating model. Digital optimization and EA tools will reach the plateau of productivity within the next 2 years and will be mainstream. Enterprise architects will become trusted advisors to the business, and the focus will be on a portfolio of EA architectural products, such as value streams, customer life cycles, specific product threads, and more applications that make use of the EA repository. Organizations will make use of agile approaches and doing just enough architecture to become intelligent and adaptive and to respond to market needs and events. The next generation of Erwin tools are on the near-term horizon, 2021. I just wanted to finish with a call to the first 100 respondents to opt in at info@erwin.com and mention the EA and Innovation Management book. They will get a complimentary hard copy posted to them. And now for any questions.
Martin, that was a really interesting presentation. One of the things that strikes me overall is really sort of the strategic development of EA, right? From sort of standalone tooling that did one thing to being deployable and best practices deployed across so many key issues in the business. So, one of the things that I think is really interesting is this is a great opportunity for folks who have been career EAs to step up and play an even larger role in the fate of the organization. So
Absolutely.
one of the things that you mentioned, and the title of the book that you just showed is innovation management. So can you just talk a little bit about why EA has a role in innovation, how you've seen it used in and around tracking of innovation and driving it and prioritization and all that sort of good stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you think about innovation and what it is, innovation is really about taking ideas from across the organization, tying it to things like technology trends, adapting those ideas and implementing them across the organization. So making the organization more transformational. The next step on from an idea is to turn it into a requirement. So you get into areas like requirements management. That then ties very nicely and closely into enterprise architecture, where you're tying requirements to projects, requirements to new processes, requirements to applications, requirements to new pieces of technology. It actually all fits in together. Innovation is a big driver for EA, and EA is a good underlying supportive set of techniques that support innovation management.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, maybe that's one of those things that some of our EAs can proactively try to drive within their own business, right? The idea of being able to use EA that, they've already got these tools in place, right? They've already made investments in it, but to really broaden its scope. So my next question is a topic that's sort of near and dear to our hearts, and it's risk and compliance. Sometimes we see when the analysts cover the space and they talk about EA and business process and all of the things that our Evolve users do with it, we see that they sometimes neglect to talk about risk and compliance, but yet it's a huge part of our business. Can we talk about that? What are your thoughts there, and the role of EA and BP in sort of the GRC world?
Yeah, so risk and compliance is a huge use case. And obviously a lot of the business architecture and enterprise architecture techniques that have been traditionally used will support risk and compliance, because you need to understand your end-to-end processes, for example. You need to document what systems you're using, what data those systems use. So it ties very closely into our data intelligence suite as well. So risk and compliance is a primary use case for that's supported by enterprise architecture and our data intelligence suite.
Yeah, and so just a follow up on that, this whole idea, you and I have been at this for a while, and when we did the initial acquisitions of Corso and Casewise, right, the two EA/BP companies that really were foundational to our Evolve platform and to our entire business, we used to talk to the legacy Casewise base, especially about data. And we would get some sort of blank stares from people saying, whether we're EAs or we're in business process, we're not in data. And suddenly here we are where data is more relevant to enterprise architecture and business process than ever before. Give the folks in the live studio audience at home, give them one more. Why does data matter? If I'm an EA or if I'm somebody that is focused on business process, why does it matter that those things are connected with my data?
Yeah, and I think I referred to this in the presentation as well, where data has always been a part of enterprise architecture. It's always been a core domain of EA. If you look at the Zachman framework, it has data as a column within the framework. It was part of the CSC catalyst methodology. Data was a domain within that. I'm not sure that people realize the importance of data as we do today. So data's proliferated, it's everywhere. It has been a little bit out of control. It's not belonged to the architects. A lot of organizations have a separate data community that are managing data models. So with the new breed of things like our catalog, where we can auto discover data and start to get our hands around that data out there in the organization and bring that through, it's still part of the EA domain. It still connects the data to the processes, data to the applications that use it. It's a core piece of enterprise architecture. I think for a lot of people, if you've been in enterprise architecture for a long time, you'll know data modeling. You'll know how to build data models. You can pick up a data modeling tool and use it. There's a lot of skills in data that we can make use of today. I think the fact that data is a key topic for CIOs right now, it's making enterprise architecture even more important. And if you don't understand your data, you're not going to be able to build end-to-end processes properly. You're not going to be able to change the customer journey. You're not going to be able to understand your products and services. So the data is fundamental to the EA.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. So I get it, and hopefully the folks they're watching at home do too. I mean, there's going to be some interesting sessions coming up. We've got one that's following this. What's data got to do with it? In fact, if you'll switch to the last one, it's a great setup for the other things that are coming up next in today's Evolve track. So at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, what's data got to do with it? Tony Morrow, who runs our services practice, is going to talk about this issue in greater depth, and he's also going to do a really excellent demonstration of a relatively new offering, which is Erwin Evolve Connect for DI, which basically creates that hook that Martin talked about before between our data catalog and EABP. So that's really exciting stuff. And then we'll end the day today with Erwin in action at HSBC, which is one of the largest customers we have, a tremendous use case. I want to just take the opportunity, since we're early on in the day, to remind everybody that the solutions booths are open. We have a booth for data modeling, data intelligence, and Evolve that's staffed by our solution specialists and our sales team. The networking lounge will be open for the next several days, where you can go and meet customers, ask us questions, and continue to give us feedback. And there's also an opportunity for you to make an appointment to give us a product review through our partners at IT Central Station. So I just wanted to thank you again, Martin, for a great presentation and teeing up what I think is going to be an excellent few days here at Erwin Insights for Evolve. So thank you, Martin.
Yep,
and thank you, everyone, for paying attention and tuning in.